Lifers, welcome back to the Live the Life podcast. As always, I am your host, Eric Aroca. And yes, I'm wearing a hat. And yes, backwards. As you guys know, it has been a bit of a shit show with my hair because I decided to buzz cut it super short about a month and a half ago. And now I have to deal with that. So I'm trying to get into my barber, but can't get into my barber. So it's going to be another week or two of this mess before we can start styling the new look. So stay tuned because something new is coming very shortly. But for all of our sakes, I am wearing the hat today. Also, wanted to remind you guys that the rewrite for Live the Life You Have Always Imagined is out right now on Amazon. So if you want a copy, hop on to Amazon. There's a link in the description. Get on there, order your copy. You're going to love this version. Oh, and by the way, our guest is kind of in this book a little bit. So I'm not sure if you even know that, but we'll talk about that later. So anyway, go out there, get your copy. It's awesome. Love it. And remember, the best part of the book, the foreword, written by none other than Jason Hewlett. So kind of a big deal. All right. Let me pop that back there. All right. So we have been busy the last couple of weeks in securing some, I think, some incredible guests for the podcast. And this guest, when I started the podcast, was on my top 5 guests to get on the podcast. So I am super excited to introduce you guys to Captain Austin Knight of the American Fork, Utah Fire Department. So, Austin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, glad to be here.
Now, you might be thinking to yourself, damn, Austin's a handsome son of a gun. It's kind of like me, right? Well, when Austin is actually my nephew, my older sister's oldest boy. And if you guys remember Karen Warren, she's the one that talked on the podcast a few episodes ago about becoming an American citizen with me. This is her son. So anyway, Austin, when you were little, everybody mistook us for me being your dad. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I think you looked more like me than my son looked like me. So people were like, hey, I didn't know you had another son. So that was always kind of funny. But all right. So welcome to the podcast. Super excited to have you on. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. My name's Austin Knight. I'm from American Fork. It's where I grew up and I was raised. And I don't know, just, well, before we go into my professional life, we'll go into my personal life. So I'm married right now. My beautiful wife, Haley, and my 2 kids that we share together. So I have a 13-year-old daughter, Starly, and then my son is 10 years old. His name is Beckham. So,
and they are awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. They're good kids on most days, and definitely give me a run for my money, and keep me very busy. Sometimes going to work almost seems like my day off than when I'm actually home, because
that's right.
All their sporting events that they have and running them around everywhere, usually on opposite ends of the county. And but it's fun and love to do it and love spending time together. So, but yeah, so I'm currently one of the captains with American Fork Fire and Rescue, and I'm there at our headquarters station, Station 51. And I've been there for about 15 years now. The end of this summer will mark my 15 years, and I've been a captain since July of 2019.
Awesome.
And it's a great job. I love the profession. I love my department and the city, of course, and love the crew and the guys that I get to work with and the girls I get to work with every day, and the great work we get to do with each other. That's pretty unique, I feel like. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me right now.
That's awesome. You know what? It's Station 51, right? Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
What's funny is back in the late 70s, early 80s, my favorite TV show, I believe, if I may be misstating this, but I believe it was either called Emergency or
Mhm.
Emergency 51. But the station that they were at was Station 51, and it was the best show on TV.
Yeah.
Man, I could not wait to see that every single week. So I
Mhm.
absolutely loved it. All
Yeah,
right, very
I
cool.
used to watch some of those reruns too.
Yeah, reruns. Those were
Yeah.
awesome. Good stuff. You can probably catch them on YouTube, I would imagine, as well.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
All right, Austin, or I should say Captain Knight.
Austin's
Uh,
good.
all right, Cap, take us back, I guess, several years ago now. And what is it that drew you to becoming a firefighter?
You know, I think when people ask me that, I just kind of jokingly say I just never grew up out of a childhood dream. I've long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a firefighter. Uh, I think the spark of my desire came from American Fork Fire. My mom used to cut hair, and one of her clients was the chief of a volunteer chief from American Fork. Excuse me. And he would stop by, and sometimes he would, be in his uniform, or he'd have to jump up out of the hairdresser chair to go on a call. And every once in a while, might come pick me and my brother up and take us around the block in the fire engine, something like that. And yeah, I just always had a desire for firefighting after that. And then, so that was, yeah, when I was little. And then come 96, when I was 7 years old, we had that, the unfortunate issue with my dad, where I actually ended up waking up. My dad woke me, or due to his snoring, woke me up, and so I tried to turn on a movie or something with a cassette tape, and that woke my mom up. She noticed that my dad wasn't sounding right. Tried to wake him up, and unfortunately didn't. He was having he was unconscious, having like kind of basically drowning in his own fluids at that point, which is why the snoring sounded so off. And yeah, she called 911. I remember holding the door open for the ambulance personnel to come in that picked him up, and as I carried him out, and that also kind of built another little pillar there why I wanted to help serve, because I saw the impact that they did for me and my family. And even though, again, I was just little, my dad, before he died, about a month, or I think it was about a month, he was in the hospital, going back and forth between different hospitals or nursing care facilities, and he's having to be transported by ambulance each of those times. And those crew members actually would help me load the stretcher up, and just do little things that firefighters and paramedics do every day with kids. But that's an impression that lasted in me forever, and I still think about it constantly while I'm at work, is how I felt when I was that little kid. But yeah, never grew out of it. Always kept that desire. I always had just like every kid, wants to be a sports star or a music artist, something like that. And although those were high interests of mine, firefighting was always like the priority for me, and that's kind of where I focused my life on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember you were really, really young, and I lived in the city of Orem, which is just like 10 miles down the road from where American Fork is in Utah. And we had a brand new firehouse opening up, which was just like down the street from where we lived. And my wife Selena was taking our kids, and so we invited your mom and you and your brother Chad to come over and go through the open house, I guess, at the firehouse, and that was pretty cool. And I have a picture that was taken that has you in the boots, like in the pants, right? And because they're attached, and you've got the
Yep.
suspenders on, and the pants are down by below your knees, and you've got the big helmet on. And I mean, that smile is like literally from ear to ear. And I've held on to that picture forever. I need to go find it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know which one you're talking about.
you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to find
Yeah.
that picture, and I'm going to post it online, because
Okay.
that picture is just awesome to look at. But so you go from that picture and your experiences as a young boy of the impact firefighters have had in your life, obviously with the situation with your dad and all that. Walk me through, you grow up, you have that dream, right? And I think this is important for people to understand that this was a visualization that you had. This is when we talk about on the podcast, when we talk about dreaming more, this is a perfect example of a young boy dreaming of becoming a firefighter, and loving what firefighters do and what they stand for, to making it happen. So you grow up through the years, you get through high school. uh, Walk us through the kind of the mindset and what it was like, because you went to the fire academy. Is that correct? Is that how that
That's correct.
happened? So
Yep.
walk us through your experience of getting into the fire academy and then what that was like.
Okay. Yeah. So my senior year in high school actually is when it kind of started. I actually ended up enrolling at like a concurrent enrollment with just a community college that was here in town, and was able to go to EMT basic school. So that started. And then one of my friends, her dad was actually on one of the firefighters for American Fork as well. So I spoke with him a little bit of what I needed to do, and he lined it out that at it's called Utah Fire and Rescue Academy, and they're affiliated with Utah Valley University. They're in Orem, Utah, and the campus actually that I went to is in Provo. But enrolled in there, and had to do my prerequisites for that academy, and was able to get those completed successfully, and I entered the academy. And then had a little idea of what to expect. They said paramilitary, and so yeah, I just ready to work, and was excited to be there. And then I think my first day, we started at I think 6 o'clock in the morning, if I recall. And my first morning there, one of the instructors, he said something. I can't remember what he asked a question, and I said, yeah. And he kind of started like, oh, what's your name? It's like, oh, my name's Austin. He's like, oh, okay, Austin. I'm thinking, hey, I'm already bonding with an instructor. This is going to be great. And then he's like, get down and do 25 push-ups. It's like, it's yes, sir. It's not yeah. It's not yep. It's yes, sir, or no, sir. And that's how you respond. So that was like my first 30 minutes in the fire academy. And which it was a little shock, but not crazy. I played sports all my life, and I was fairly disciplined when it came to that. And yeah, I was like, oh, I'm living the dream. I remember the first time I learned I touched a fire hose in the academy, which was like day 2 or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing it. And then, within a couple weeks, things started turning a little bit for me. Not in the positive. I've never been very strong in academics. I've done enough that I was able to graduate high school, and wasn't making any honor roll. That's for sure. So
that runs in the family. So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad at all.
Yeah. So there was there's a physical and real technical knowledge and skill base, but then there's a whole academic side to that fire academy as well. And unfortunately, there was some tests that I just could not wrap my mind around. I would read the chapters over and over again. I would try to look on the internet from what I could, and I, for whatever reason, I could not grasp. And there was one specific test, and I could not get over it. And if you fail it once, you get to retake it. If you fail it twice, you get to retake it. But if you fail a third time, you'll be removed from the academy. You'll no longer be able to attend. So I failed it my first time, and failed it my second time. Now I'm sweating bullets. And along with, the failed attempts, there's a point-based demerit system. So if you get a certain amount of points, you get kicked out of the academy. And I believe it was only 90 points before you got kicked out. Each failed attempt was 25 points.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sitting here with 50 points. And I mean, there are some days that they might, just if I make a safety mistake or something, we'll get 10 demerits here, 5 demerits there, whatever. So I'm racking them up pretty quick. And now I'm on my final attempt for this. And I remember just a sense of almost hopelessness. Like I didn't know what to do. This has been my dream forever. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to complete this. I'm not going to be able to pass this. And then you start trying to make yourself feel a little better. Like, oh, do I really want to even do this anymore? Like,
yeah.
Maybe it doesn't seem that cool to be a firefighter. And
maybe it really wasn't my dream after all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember talking with one of my friends at the time, and I remember to like, look, I don't think this is for me, which is okay. I was like, I won't quit, but I don't think it's for me. And I'm still just inner turmoil. And then I ended up reaching out to you to talk with you and kind of get some more personal, I don't know, inspiration or guidance, probably be a better term on what I should do. And do you remember that?
I do. I remember you came over to the house.
Yeah.
I remember you came over to the house and you were pretty raw. You were pretty emotional and definitely expressed concern for, that you wanted to quit. And so, yeah, I was like, holy cow, like, okay,
Yeah.
this is kind of rough. Like, this is real, but what did I even tell you? Because do you remember what I told you?
I don't remember exactly, other than to not quit.
Yeah.
So just don't quit. This has been your dream forever. Don't quit. And just see it through. That I would regret quitting. And like, if I get kicked out, I get kicked out, but at least I know.
Yeah.
And it was not because I gave up.
Yeah.
So, and I have that no quit mentality. Through my mom seeing the trial she overcame as well, that helped instill that message in me as well. So yeah, I decided to, all right, well, expecting to get kicked out, expecting like, all right, well, this is what it is, but yep, I'm not gonna quit.
Yeah.
So we did that. And then
if you go back, I remember that I told you, I said, don't quit, because if you quit, you'll never know.
Yeah. Yep.
What happens if you go back and you pass the test? Right? You get to keep going, but if you quit, you'll never reap the rewards. You'll never know if you quit. And I told you, quitting is not an option. You have to move forward. If you get kicked out, like you said, if you get kicked out, you get kicked out. But at least you did everything that you could before they kick you out, right?
Yeah,
there's no sense walking out and just saying, hey, that's it for me. Let them be the ones who kick you out. You don't ever quit, because I think they look for that as well, right? They
for sure.
When crap hits the fan, when you're in a fire, are you going to be the one who quits? Or are you going to be the one who figures it out and how to get it done and how to rescue people and how to do whatever it is you guys do, right?
Yeah.
I told you to hold on for a moment during that visit, and I went and I found this picture. And the picture that we were talking about, with you being in the fireman suit and the hat on and smiling from ear to ear. And I said, I want you to take that with you. I want you to keep it. And I'm not sure what you did with it.
I still have it.
I wanted that picture to be the inspiration, because I said, look, man, you were born to be a firefighter. Look at this picture, right? You were born to do this. And kudos to you, man, because you did. You went back there, you passed the test, and right. So kudos to you. But this is just a great example of, hey, what we talk about on the podcast is dreaming more, right? You have the visualization, and that's great, but then you got to couple that with like learning more. And you were in that learning phase. You were in that, I got to learn all this stuff, right? So good for you. That's awesome. All right, keep going.
Thank you. Let's say yes. I passed the test, and I mean, I mean, the first like 90 points, and I get kicked out. In the first month, I think I was at 75 points.
Hey man, go
So
strong.
yeah, oh for sure. So obviously, I did successfully pass the academy, and I can't remember. I think I ended up with like 82 points total, but by the time I graduated the academy or something like that. But yeah, I ended up loving it a lot. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The instructors are looking to see if someone's gonna quit, and we had that, and some people did quit, and yeah, I'm thankful I stuck it out, graduated, made a lot of great friends that I still run into on the job throughout the state from time to time now, and yeah, it was great. So graduated the academy, and then I found out American Fork Fire and Rescue was hiring. So I went and applied for them, and I mean, I applied for a bunch of other departments. There was, you know, everyone wanted a secure job. It was 2010, and uh, firefighting was on the top of the list of a lot of people's choices. So it was very competitive, had a lot of people going for it, and I was able to put my foot in the door at American Fork, who at the time was a volunteer, like paid on call fire department. They had full time EMS, but yeah, so I was able to get into there, and I got accepted. They hired me, and I thought, okay, I made it. This is it. So I thought, yeah, I thought I had made it at least. So initially, I thought I had made it. Um, Unfortunately, about a month into it, um, I had my chief call me at the time and said, "Hey, I need you to come back or come stop by the station." I'm like, "Okay." So we get there, and he said, "Hey, your background didn't pass, and we are withdrawing our employment offer to you."
Man.
Turned in my gear right there, and that was a hard blow to take. So, um, I felt like I struggled, made it and fought to get to that spot, and then because of some stupid mistakes I made, they and it's losing sight of the vision, losing sight of my dream. Initially, I put myself in a position where this department didn't want to hire me anymore. I was, yeah, I did my wife, but my girlfriend at the time, she was there with me, and I just remember just staring up at the ceiling, laying on my bed, just I didn't know what to do. Again, that hopeless, lost feeling. And they're just like praying, like, please help this work out. There's some way, help this work out. Now, there's a bunch of other departments in the state of Utah and in the country. At that point, there was a lot of people going out of state because they couldn't get jobs in Utah. And so applied for a few more places and to start testing with them. And I was working at a restaurant at the time, and I saw who walked in the door. One of the captains from American Fork walked in. So I walked up to him, I greeted him, and he asked me kind of what had happened. He heard that I no longer worked there, and I explained the situation, and he said, well, he got my contact information and said to expect a phone call from him on, I think this was a Saturday, and to expect a phone call from him on Monday. So I did, and he set up a meeting with me and the chief, and the chief was kind of like, this is your deal, this isn't my issue, but this captain that he trusted is vouching for me, and this guy had no idea who I was. So he just going off of a hunch, I guess, that he had a gut feeling, and I got set up a meeting with the human resources and the city administrator, and basically had to plead my case. I had to tell them about what I was charged with and the circumstances of that, and thankfully, I had plenty of backing, such as the academy, associate's degree, things like that I had done since I committed that crime. So showing that basically I'm not a criminal. I made a mistake and I'm working and improving on that. So then I had my final meeting with that captain and the chief, and they both told me that they're going to give me a shot. I have it'll be like a no second chance shot. If I mess up, do anything at all, I'm gone. And that was, well, and I was threatened with an ass kicking as well. But so
there's always that.
There's always that. Yep. So I agreed. I agreed to it, and they brought me back on. And from that moment, I made a promise to them unknowingly, but to myself as well, that I'm going to be the best firefighter that I can be, and no one's going to be able to hold a candle to me there. Now, there's great firefighters. I'm not saying I'm better than the others, but I went to every class I could. Every class I could attend, I went to. Any training, I trained off duty constantly, and now I would pick up some like part-time ambulance shift. Again, the volunteer, all the fire side was all volunteer still and paid on call. So I was going to 400 to 500 calls a year, which was the most in our department. And now I was single still, and I lived in town, and I didn't have any kids at the time. So was able to take advantage of that. And then in November 2011, they decided to put our first engine in as full-time in service, and firefighter opening had opened up that spring. So in March of 2012 is when I tested and was offered a full-time position with American Fork. Nice. And that's kind of all she wrote there. And I've been with the department as it's been growing, and we have 2 stations currently, another one on the way come this next year. We run 2 engines, a ladder truck, and 4 ambulances with a battalion chief currently, and which is a lot of growth in a pretty short amount of time. And I'm just fortunate enough to be one of those captains to help run my shift.
Well, American Fork is not what it was in 2010 or
before
early 2000s. It's grown considerably, so there's no way they could continue with the volunteer
sure
status. I mean, that's just no freaking way.
Yeah, no way.
Good for you, man. That's amazing. I love this story. This is why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because it just shows, man, grit and determination. And I mean, you're willing to fight for your dream. You were willing to do whatever it took, passing the test. Once you get kind of kicked out, once you kind of think you've made it, like you said, this other thing that's in your past pops up. And hey, we all make mistakes, right? But it's what you do with those mistakes. Do you continue to make those mistakes, or do you learn from them and get better? And obviously you picked the latter. You learned from that mistake and got better. And I think that's probably what the captain saw. He probably saw that here's a young guy who's trying to make it and who's doing everything that he can to be successful. So good for you for sticking it out. Good for you for making it happen. I love it. I mean, this is what Live the Life is all about. So
yeah,
for you, that's exciting.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I feel like it's especially looking back at the things I had to deal with this career, and that it's goes beyond of just wanting to do this job. I find it to be a true calling. I had people help me along the way, a lot of people mentoring me on the job. And yeah, there was some, I don't know, luck, fate, whatever you want to call it, but that played into it. I'm just thankful that things worked out the way they have been, and I've been able to create a very successful career with with my wife and my kids, along my side and backing me up through it all as well. And
Yeah.
feel very fortunate.
Well, I know that your mom is super proud of you, and your grandma is super proud of you, my mom. So they constantly, brag about you, and rightly so. When you made it as a firefighter and you're kind of in your career a little bit, maybe at the beginning or, at whatever point, was there a time, was there like a signature moment? Was there like a signature call that you went on that after you thought about it, kind of like retrospectively thought, this is this is my calling. This is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Does one come to mind that you could share with us?
I've had several of those, and I continually am reminded about it. But it's happened actually a couple times, oddly enough. But there was and I can't remember exactly when it was. I believe it was shortly after I got hired on full time, so in 2012, and we had because we run fire and EMS. I'm a paramedic also, but we went on a sick guy. He was unconscious, and I can't remember the details of it. But I remember going down, and was helping. I was helping carrying the patient down the stairs, and to go out, get him onto the stretcher so we can get him to the hospital. And there was a mom, a kid sitting down in the living room there, and then one of the other kids holding the door for us to run out. So it was just that surreal, that took me back to when I was that little kid holding the door. And yeah, not necessarily it's just what I'm supposed to do, but it's like that full circle moment.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately I don't know the outcome of that patient, or at least I can't recall the outcome of that patient. But yeah, I tried to, because the family met us at the hospital, and I tried to make that horrible situation a tiny bit lighter. I think we had some like plastic fire helmets and some stickers in our rig that I went and grabbed real quick after we took care of their dad and handed them off to the ER staff, to give to them, just to kind of, it doesn't make the situation better, but maybe a slight distraction, and hopefully I can leave a positive impression on them as someone once did for me.
Yeah, for sure. Talk about, like you said, talk about a full circle moment, right? That's freaking amazing. That's all you need, right? When that happens, you're like, all right, man. All right, I got it. You're like, okay, I got it. So
yeah,
that's incredible. Has there been a particular leadership lesson that you've learned that has like served you over the years?
Oh yeah. Firefighting is all about leadership, from your very first day on to when you retire. It should be, and if it's not, that's when you should probably retire. But that's really everything in life. It involves in leadership. But the biggest thing that I've learned now is, I'm a captain. I have on a typical day, I have 8 full-time members underneath me, and I can have 2. I have 2 of those being lieutenants, so they help me oversee the crew, and they do a lot of work to help me out. But the biggest thing I've taken out is development. I dedicated my whole career to developing myself and make sure I'm ready to go. Make sure that when someone calls 911, that I'm ready to perform in any aspect. And now I don't touch patients too much. I don't get a pull. I don't pull the hose as much anymore. I'm kind of the one directing and giving orders as well. And instead of developing myself now I'm developing my crew members, and we have a lot of young people at our department and on my crew, and trying to develop them and get them up to where I think they need to be, so they can have a successful and safe career as well. So yeah, development and just kind of, yeah, just paying it forward. I had a lot of people help mentor me, and hopefully I am mentoring other people as well.
Yeah, I love this. This is so good. I talk to a lot of people in leadership positions, and I find it interesting. I really don't believe that you can help develop other people if you haven't gone through that development yourself.
Hmm.
And so one of the things that I love is that you've taken that opportunity. You had mentioned a few minutes ago that you basically took every opportunity to go on every to take every class or every training that was offered. So you were really developing yourself, right? Getting lots of experience and learning on the job. And this is like principle number 3 for our podcast, right? Which is doing more. So you
Yeah.
were doing more. You were doing the thing. And it's not, I'm going to do more so I can be busy. Is you were doing more of the things that would make you successful, right?
Yes.
Not only as a firefighter, but as a leader down the line. Like you didn't, did you, when you joined the fire department, was your goal to become a captain?
No, I mean, down the road, mate, like it's an idea, but I just wanted to be a firefighter.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. You just wanted to be a firefighter. Now, like you said, maybe down the road, a few years in, you're thinking, hey, maybe there's a possibility. Not because I know you made lieutenant, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
once you make lieutenant, it's like natural progression is, hey, if there's ever a spot that opens up here or with another department, I could potentially become a captain, right?
Yep.
But that none of that happens if it's not that development,
For
right?
sure.
And so I love that you've taken the time to visualize what you wanted to be, that you took the time to learn as much as you could all the time, and then you're doing more of the things that make you or are going to make you successful, not only as a firefighter but as a leader down the line, right?
Yeah. Yes.
When you made lieutenant, and really you were a leader before you made lieutenant, right? You were a leader well before you became a captain. You were a leader when you were in that learning phase. You just didn't have the title, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. I love that. I love that. Personal development, professional development is, I think, it's a really big deal for me. As you know, as a professional speaker, I go around and help people with professional development.
Yeah.
So that's near and dear to my heart that you mentioned development. That's great. See, man, good stuff runs in the family. I'm telling
For
you.
sure. Well, a lot of people, and I mean, I see it in every aspect of professions, but they wait to be in that leadership position to start thinking about leadership, right? They
Yeah,
wait to like, oh, well, when I become a captain, then I'll start doing this, or
you've made it
you
too
know,
long.
when I become a CEO or manager, or whatever it might be. And yes, like, well, no, start now. That's how you start getting that following. If you can't lead without a title, you're not going to be able to lead with a title.
Yeah,
There's a fine line between management and leadership.
yeah.
Management, you manage tasks. You can't manage people. You
You're
lead
managing
people.
systems, tasks, exactly.
Yep.
You
So
lead people. You never manage people. You
yeah.
lead people, dude. You're brilliant, freaking brilliant. All right. I think the word hero, I think, gets thrown around way too much. It's kind of like great athletes, right? Um, Everybody wants to be a great athlete, but not everybody is a great athlete. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There are very good athletes. There are good athletes, very good athletes, and then there's great athletes. To me, like a great athlete would be like Michael Jordan, right?
Yes.
There are
For
other
sure.
athletes who are very good, but they're not great. And I feel like those words get thrown around a lot, and the word hero always to me gets thrown around way too much. So here's my perspective on hero. Heroes to me wear uniforms. Okay. So whether that's an army uniform, marine uniform, police uniform, or a firefighter uniform, to me those are the heroes, right? I think that if you're to
Yeah.
be a hero, man, you got to wear a uniform. That's just how it's always been, like in my mind. So how does somebody in the profession, hey, a hero, how do you mentally and I think emotionally prepare for those high stress calls, because I would imagine that, because I look at like life of a firefighter, and I feel like it's like in a 24-hour cycle, it's like 23 hours of sitting around the firehouse and 1 hour of chaos and high stress, and right, maybe I'm wrong
Yeah.
on that, but you get my idea, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but I think it's what happens in those 23 hours, right? Like that preparation. So, walk us through, how do you mentally prepare and emotionally prepare for when those high stress situations come to be?
Well, I mean, we're not Superman, right? And then actually in the fire academy, the instructor actually that on the very first day had me drop down and do those push-ups. Later on, he said, he made a comment. He's like, "You guys are not heroes." It's like, we are not heroes. He said the most heroic thing that a firefighter does is when he applies to be a firefighter, and after that, it all becomes just part of the job. And that preparation of, we have a job to do. We have a job to be able to respond efficiently and quickly, and we have a to know our skills and to be able to perform in those high situations. Like, it's our job now. It's not like, God opens up the clouds and says, "Okay, this is your heroic moment." And that the heroic moments that, and there's some firefighters, police officers, plenty of soldiers, and even just bystanders, your average Joe that find themselves in extraordinary positions and capitalize on it. And yeah, that's a heroic event, but you typically doesn't happen without preparation, right? Mentally, my crew as the captain with development, I need to develop them. So when we have to, I just got off shift this morning, and when we, sorry, there's a or a solicitor outside on the door right now. But yeah, I just got off shift, and we had to resuscitate someone, and it was calmer than when the firefighters sit down around the table for a coffee or to eat.
Yeah.
It was just very, very calm, methodical. We're doing our jobs. Everyone knows their position, and thankfully, that outcome, that patient's doing well and is awake, talking, and walking around surprisingly. But that's because we've trained on it. We trained on that exact scenario so many times.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it wasn't in the settings that we planned on, of course, but the motions are the same, right?
Yeah.
Doing, these basketball. You mentioned Michael Jordan. I mean, he practiced how many shots? Not necessarily. I mean, he practiced against people, but he made all those practice shots on his own as well, mentally preparing on, is it Magic guarding him at that moment, or um, Clyde, or whoever. So, um, yeah, actual preparation and training, as well. Yeah, just visualizing the scenarios and the outcome that you want it to be. Sometimes we think that adrenaline, for firefighters, we think adrenaline is just going to carry us through, and all of a sudden we'll have X-ray vision and can see straight through, black, dark smoke, and be able to pull a victim out, or all of a sudden know every drug dose or whatever. None of that happens unless we're practicing, studying, and preparing for those situations.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I love that. Yeah, I think sometimes as civilians, right? And I think the person, your trainer in the fire academy, I think he was right. I think he said the right thing. You're not a, I've never heard a firefighter or police officer or whatever say, "Oh, I'm a hero." They
Yeah.
always like, "Oh no, dude, that's just my job," whatever. And I really appreciate that. I love the humility that comes from that. But to us, measly civilians, you guys are our heroes, right? And so that's why I reserve that title for people who wear uniforms. If a civilian does something, heroic, hey man, good for you. Like, you stepped up when someone needed you. I still don't consider them a hero. I just think, hey man, that's awesome that you did that. Good for you. Like, I
Yeah.
love, but to me, heroes wear uniforms. Um, so I love that. Yeah, preparation. There's just I think as civilians, we just have that mindset that we think, oh, you know what, those guys are just playing cards, or you know, they're they're having a cooking contest in the kitchen. You know what I mean? It's like I watch
Yeah.
Emergency 51 episodes, and I'm like, because they show them in their downtime, and you're just like, what are those guys doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the horn, and then the bell rings, and then they're all, sliding down the pole and, taking off. But there's a lot of preparation, like you said, that happens in those down moments that enable you to perform the duties that you need to perform when they're asked of you, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
I love that you said when you were resuscitating, that was the calmest, that was more calm than when
At the dinner table. Yeah.
than when you're at the dinner table at the firehouse. Wow, like that's incredible, and that only happens because of that preparation. So that's awesome. All right, let's see. Let's talk about values really fast because we're coming up against our time here. But what are the values that the fire department has in American Fork, and is there one value that really stands out that stands out the most to you as a captain in the fire department there in American Fork?
Yeah. Probably. And I mean, just general with the fire service, I would say dedication. We sometimes are so loyal and driven for our profession. Um, it's to a fault. A lot of times we're sacrificing a lot of time away from our families. My daughter, I missed her first steps because I was on duty. I missed Christmases, birthdays, anniversaries, and that's just my shift work. I said I did all those extra trainings, um, and it was for all the dedication and time I put in for my profession. There is a darker side, unfortunately, a more negative side on it. That's all the time all those certifications I have um, are representations of the time I spent away from my family.
Yeah.
And so dedication is a huge one, but that's where it also kind of falls in line with the sacrifice, which we're happy to do. That's why we do this job. And you do have to dedicate, you do have to sacrifice time for it. And it's just trying to find the dichotomy, the balance of how to basically appease both sides and not just throw all your eggs into one basket, and while the other one remains empty.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's a lesson I've had to learn. And so dedication to the fire service, but dedication to your family. And that's been and honest, just dedication to yourself as well. Mental illness is pretty high in the emergency services, as well as obviously military, and it is our job, and for a long time, and still is to a point of we're just expected to do our job and be good with it, and it plays a toll on us, and we need to be able to dedicate time to be able to heal ourselves, but also enjoy ourselves, enjoy life, and share the beauties of life with others, our loved ones, spouses, kids, friends, whoever. But yeah, dedication is a major value for me. And yeah, that's probably the one that sticks out the most to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that dedication, and you mentioned sacrifice too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So,
And I always look at sacrifice and think, how do we couple that with like a dreaming or visualization? I always say, you will never achieve anything in life that you're not willing to sacrifice for. And I just think all the time that you sacrificed away from your family has helped get you to where you are today as a captain in the fire
oh,
department.
for sure.
So good
Yep.
for you, man. That's incredible. And kudos to Haley, to your beautiful wife, because hey, she's number one. She's got to put up with you. Uh,
Yep.
but she's had to dedicate a great deal of her time to her family and to you, and that's not easy because I know that she has a busy career as well, and so you guys have made it work, and you guys are doing a great job. So I love that you have those values in your job. So take us away from the fire department for a moment. What
Yeah.
do you like to do to decompress? Because you have a high, stress job. So once you're off the clock, what do you like to do to like unwind and kind of rejuvenate a little bit?
What I love to do, I'm not sure if it's unwinding because I get amped up sometimes, is watch my kids play sports. So,
Yeah, that doesn't
so,
count. That
yeah, so
doesn't
yeah,
count.
so yeah, that kind of makes my blood boil a little bit more, and I get pretty competitive, and I'd love to see them compete and the fire in them. But yeah, I just love spending time with the family. Fishing is always great. Being out on the lake and just enjoying the water and just spending time with family and friends and be able to just turn it off. And it's hard to. That's part of the mental illness stuff. It is hard to turn it off after for so long of just kind of staying in that. We get adrenaline spikes throughout the day, and your body basically just starts getting used to it. And that's kind of how you live until you figure out how to decompress from it all. And I don't even know if I have the answer other than I'm at peace when I'm with my family, and I'm as long as we're doing something. We just got back from Florida on a little vacation that we took our kids, and yeah, that's amazing. So just enjoying life. There's so much beauty and wonderful things in the world, and you have to enjoy it. It's so easy to get wrapped up into the negativity, and I've fallen in that a lot over the years, and I still do sometimes, but when you see how much more good than bad there is out there, and it's pretty humbling, I guess is the best word I could describe it.
Excellent, man. Those are all great things. And hey, fishing, being out on the water,
Yeah,
hanging out with family, that runs thick in the blood, man.
for sure.
So I think a lot of us in the family are a lot like that. So that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. Good for you. And it takes time to figure that out, and
Yeah.
and figure out how do you unwind. I mean, I was on the road for years, and it'd be easy to say, oh, my wife used to kid and say, well, you get to live in the lap of luxury. You go to a hotel, you have a maid, and I'm like, yeah, but you have no idea what I go through when I travel.
Yeah.
So, but I had to learn too. I had to learn how to like turn it off and how to leave work at work, and it's not easy to do. And the fact that you have a lovely spouse and that can help you and is dedicated to you and your family, I think that goes a long way to helping to help you guys figure that out together, and then to be able to support each other on those things. So good for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, firefighters, we're problem solvers, right?
Yeah.
And I've learned, and I continually learn. Sometimes my wife doesn't want me to solve some problems.
Yeah.
Sometimes she just wants me to listen and hear it out instead of give her solutions to things she might be going through. And so that's been my big learning curve with my wife, is not everything needs to be solved by me.
my wife now will say, hey, I need to talk to you, or I want to tell you something, and she'll say, I don't need you to solve it, I just need you to listen.
Yeah.
She'll say, I just want to vent. Or she'll say, hey, I have this issue and I need you to help me fix it, which is like, oh, excellent. Like,
Yep.
I'm listening. I go, So
Yep.
Good for you, man. All right, one last question, Captain Knight.
Okay.
What advice would you give to someone thinking about joining the fire service?
Go to your local fire department. Go talk to the guys. Figure out, hear their thoughts on it. Now, ask for some really honest thoughts on it. Right? Someone stops in, how do you like being a firefighter? And I'm like, oh, it's great, we love it. But like I said, there's a toll that comes on this job. There's things that we see that no human should see, and it's not for everybody. Not everyone can do this job. So before you start taking all the classes, doing all that, I would go talk to someone, or maybe have a neighbor or someone that you know is a firefighter, and yeah, talk to them and hear what their actual thoughts are on it. And I'm sure there is plenty of articles online that you could read, and yeah, some YouTube videos that you could watch about kind of what it's really like. And that'd be my first step that I would suggest on doing. And once you decide to do it, I'd say just start running. Go for it. Don't wait. Time is very short. So yeah, just start chasing after that dream if that's something you want to do.
That's awesome, dude. Great advice. Great advice. And that goes for, and I would say that's great advice for any career that you're thinking about, right? People ask me, what's it like to be a salesperson, or what's it like to be a speaker? Man, dude, I'm gonna tell you. Like, I'm not gonna just tell you the good parts. I'm gonna tell you how rough it can be, right? Yep. I'm gonna tell you the difficulties that are involved in that. And so, yeah, that's great. And I think, like you said, there's so much we can learn from AI or from just getting on the internet and figuring it out. But man, none of that compares to being able to speak with someone face to face and asking them the tough questions about a potential career that you want to be involved with in the next 20, 30, however many years, right? Yeah. Think about how much time that career is going to take of your life. You want to make sure that you go into it knowing what you're getting yourself into, and not necessarily being like, oh crap, I didn't know I was going to have to do that, right?
Yeah.
And you may have some of those moments, but they won't be like career defining, like, oh, there won't be a deal breaker at that point, because you had such a good understanding of what you're doing. So excellent. For sure. Great advice, man. Well, Captain Knight, it was incredible having you on. Now, next time I'm in Utah, I really do need to get a ride on a fire truck.
Okay, come on over. Well, that's easy to do.
I had a ride on an ambulance 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Patient, and I don't even remember it because I was so out of my mind I didn't even know I was on an ambulance ride. But
yeah,
they had the sirens on and everything, and I do not recall that at all. But anyway, that's another story for another time. But next time I'm in town, I'll come by, visit you at Station 51, and hopefully get a ride on a fire truck.
No, that'd be great. Yeah, you're always welcome.
Okay, man. Thank you so much, Captain Knight, for being on the Live the Life podcast. And guys, that is it for today. So remember, go out, live your dreams. Go out and learn more, do more, and become the person you want to be. That only happens if you live the life.